In the opening scenes, we see a girl crawling away from a monster in a dungeon. At one point the monster grabs her, but she manages to fight it off and escape outside. But her relief is short-lived. A maniac, his face hidden by a mask, catches up to her. Some time later a group of young people head into the deep woods to search for the missing Melanie. It's her sister Clover, her friends Nina and Megan, Clover's ex-boyfriend Max and Nina's boyfriend Abe. They don't have a clear plan, but Clover believes her sister is still alive. The group stops at a gas station where Melanie sent her last video message to Clover. After their mother's death, Melanie couldn't stay in the house and decided to leave. Because of this, the sisters had a falling out. It's been a year since Melanie disappeared. Megan believes in the supernatural and suggests everyone hold hands. Maybe it'll help them catch Melanie's residual energy. But while they're doing it, they're almost hit by a truck. Max still tries to control his ex, the very reason they broke up. Nina and Abe have only been dating for 3 months. Max jokes that Nina is the kind of girl who always needs to be in a relationship. Abe will be lucky if she doesn't dump him before the trip is over. At the little gas station store, Clover buys coffee and shows the clerk a photo of Melanie, asking if he saw her last year. The clerk replies that people often go missing further up the road. Abe thought they were just going on a nature getaway, but now he realizes they're actually retracing Melanie's last known path. As a psychologist, he's not sure this is healthy for Clover. But the others disagree. Maybe this will help Clover and all of them heal. The group continues on. Max holds Clover's hand. She's terrified of thunderstorms. She even begs Abe to turn back or stop the car. Suddenly they break through a wall of rain and find themselves in a strange place, not at all where they were headed. And what is that house in the middle of nowhere? In the sky, clouds close in tightly in a gray ring. Abe records the strange weather phenomenon on his phone. The signal is almost gone. Max suggests turning back immediately, but Abe argues they should wait out the storm. Otherwise they could crash. The house in the middle of nowhere is surrounded by a wall of rain and fog, as if nature itself cut it off from the rest of the world. Nina, Abe and Megan go inside and call out, but no one answers. Nina notices the date on an old calendar, September 24, 1998. All the furniture looks really old too. Abe keeps filming on his phone. It's clear no one has been here in years. There's no electricity or water. Suddenly Abe makes a disturbing discovery, a bulletin board on the wall. He picks up one of the flyers about a missing man. Clover thinks she hears Melanie's voice and sees her silhouette in the fog. The girl steps into the fog, and Max sees it, but he's too late to stop her. Judging by the number of flyers on the board, many people have gone missing here, at least several dozen. Clover wanders in the fog while Max calls for her. The sun is quickly sinking toward the horizon. One of the missing is Melanie, and maybe she wanted to come back but just couldn't find her way out. Max helps Clover escape the fog maze. It's already dark. In the guest book, Nina finds Melanie's name, and with each entry, the handwriting becomes less and less legible. Nina shows Megan her discovery. They're interrupted by Abe, who points out the missing persons board. Oddly, there's no data about these people, no birth dates, no height, no weight, just photos. When Clover sees her sister's name in the guest book, she has no doubt, that was Melanie in the fog. But how is it possible? Megan notices someone has flipped the hourglass. But everyone insists they didn't touch it. Suddenly everyone hears sounds outside. Someone has started Abe's car. Clearly going out to confront them is a bad idea, so they retreat inside. Max, Megan and Clover decide to go down to the basement, where more rooms are hidden, like a second house beneath the house. Max wonders why there are windows underground. Clover finds a phone, and there's even a dial tone. Nina tries to convince herself this is just someone's bad prank, and that everything will be fine. But the phone doesn't work after all. Abe begins to suspect this is exactly how Melanie disappeared. Using an old radio receiver, Megan tries to reach someone, anyone, but there's only static in response. Abe hears a sound and goes to check it out. Nina is still watching the car, but Abe's long absence makes her nervous. When the girl walks into the room with the bulletin board, she sees a person in a terrifying mask, and Abe is already dead. The others hear Nina's screams. Max tells the girls to stay put and heads upstairs. There, he sees the masked figure next to Nina's body. Max rushes back and tells the girls to run. They all hide, hearing the masked person coming downstairs. Grabbing a chair, Max sneaks up behind the maniac and strikes him, but it has no effect. The guy becomes the masked figure's next victim. The girls stay quiet. As the maniac walks by, Clover silently grabs a knife. Meanwhile, the masked person finds Megan hiding in a closet and attacks her. Clover can't stay out of it. She sneaks up and stabs the masked figure from behind, causing him to chase her. The girl runs out of the house but suddenly trips. As she gets up, she sees Melanie's silhouette in the fog again. At that moment, the masked man takes Clover's life. The sand in the hourglass runs out, and time rewinds. The young people realize they are trapped in a time loop. Their photos now hang on the missing persons board as well. Clearly the same thing happened to Melanie, and now the night begins all over again. Suddenly the lights begin to flicker, something that didn't happen last time. There's a creaking noise, and the group notices the front door is open. Abe tries to close it, but it's no use, so the guys have to barricade it. Megan feels that something is different this time. Worse. Now even Max believes in the supernatural. Suddenly Megan's body begins undergoing terrifying transformations. She screams loudly, and the lights go out. Everyone is confused. Megan has vanished. Soon they find her suspended in mid-air. Her eyes have turned completely black. She's whispering incoherently, then she begins speaking in the voices of everyone who has ever been trapped here. Each one begged for death, just to escape this endless loop. At one point Megan collapses, seemingly lifeless, but Abe warns the others not to touch her. What possessed Megan might possess them too. Everyone is distracted by a knock at the door. The group gathers by the entrance where they hear Melanie's voice, begging to be let in. Abe stops Clover, convinced it's a trap, but Max, ignoring everything, opens the door. No one is outside, but they all see an old house across the way that wasn't there before. Suddenly an unseen force throws Clover forward, while the others are flung back into the house. Something invisible begins dragging Clover toward the house across the way, but her friends can't help. The door locks by itself. Max wants to go save Clover, but Abe is sure she's already lost, and the best thing they can do is save themselves. Max isn't convinced, and heads out. Clover wakes up in the house across the way and finds creepy mannequins all around her. She senses she's not alone. In a chair in front of the TV sits an old woman with an oxygen mask, unresponsive. On the screen plays a news report from 20 years ago about a mine collapse in the area. Clover tries to leave the house, but the door is locked. Meanwhile Max is heading toward the same house. Suddenly the old woman locks eyes with Clover and starts smiling in a terrifying way. Then she pins Clover to the floor and forces the oxygen mask onto her face, making her suffer like the rest of this cursed town. Clover's eyes turn black as the witch turns to ash. Taking the opportunity, Nina and Abe jump into the car and drive through the fog, but a giant monster blocks the road. They're forced to reverse. The masked figure catches up and takes their lives right inside the car. Meanwhile Max explores the witch's house, searching for Clover. This leads him to the second floor, into a room full of dolls and toys. At some point he notices a creepy toy clown sitting in a rocking chair. Suddenly Clover appears in a mask and takes his life. She then walks outside and is hit by the maniac driving Abe's car. The demon releases Clover's body, and time rewinds once again. The countdown resets. It's clear this will keep repeating until they all find a way to survive the night. The group has barricaded all the doors and windows in the house and locked themselves in the bathroom, hoping it will keep the maniac out. Last time there was no water, but now for some reason it's here. The good news is that there's a way out: survive until sunrise. But if they stay here forever, they'll become part of the night. And with each loop, their bodies begin to change, to transform into something else. The question is, what happened to those who got stuck here too, including Melanie? Suddenly Abe starts coughing violently, and then his body explodes. The same thing happens to Nina. It's probably because of the water, but the remaining three run out of the bathroom anyway. Still Megan and Max are quickly taken one by one, just like their friends. Only Clover remains, and sunrise is just minutes away. Clover helplessly lies down on the floor. Just then, the gas station clerk walks into the house and leans over her, saying that staying in place won't help them survive. Immediately after that, Clover dies too. Time rewinds once again. Trying to ignore the changes happening to their bodies, the group searches the house for any clues. Clover finds several ID cards belonging to the gas station guy, whose real name is Dr. Alan Hill. Could this be somehow connected to the mine collapse 20 years ago that killed thousands? Psychotherapist Alan Hill was brought in to work with the survivors. The entire town sank underground. That's why there are no other houses here and why there are windows in the basement. The entire ground floor went under. Nina opens the door that used to be the front entrance, and in front of them stretches a tunnel. She immediately slams the door shut. Each night, they face a new threat. Megan suggests this is happening to make them even more afraid. Max finds old tapes and plays one. On the video, a man, referred to as a patient by Dr. Hill, desperately asks why he keeps coming back to life. Dr. Hill comments that despite all efforts, the survivors of the collapse still haven't recovered from their psychological trauma. The longer each patient is trapped here, the more afraid they become, and the faster they lose everything human. 13 nights is the maximum duration of the experiment. After that, the patient irreversibly turns into a ravenous monster. The group realizes this is happening to them too. Suddenly a voice comes from the speakers. It's Dr. Hill, stating that there is a way out, but there's a price. One of them must die. The other four will be allowed to leave. Megan senses that Hill is nearby. They find a map of the long-buried city. Hill's shelter is somewhere in that area. Clover says she wants to meet Hill face to face because only he has the answers. Hill replies that it can be arranged, but he will speak to her alone. Though most of the group is against it, Clover is determined. She understands that there's no better solution. When Hill says he'll be waiting for her in the forest with Melanie, Clover runs to the meeting point. Everyone but Abe tries to stop her, but it's no use. They realize Abe cares only about himself. Clover's death would benefit him, considering Hill's terms. Suddenly Nina strikes Abe with a fatal blow. Now he'll either die for good or wake up again in the next loop. Max and Megan go in search of Clover while Nina stays behind with the wounded Abe. Clover reaches the forest and steps into a bear trap. Moments later someone drags her deeper into the woods. Abe, like Clover, is terrified of dying for real. Suddenly they both see the masked maniac. Meanwhile Max and Megan find the remains of the buried town in the woods. They move forward, calling out for Clover. But when they run into a disgusting monster, they flee back the way they came. Megan trips and finds herself on a cracking sheet of glass, apparently the roof of one of the buried buildings. Max tries to pull her out, but the monster lunges at them and crashes through the glass with Megan. Clover is still alive. Max finds her and frees her leg from the trap. At that moment the monster version of Melanie appears. Max uses the same trap to catch the creature, and he and Clover hide in a nearby structure. The events then take us back to the past, when Melanie was getting ready to leave after their mother's death. Melanie begged her sister to come with her, but Clover had no intention of running away from herself. Another cycle of hell begins. Their bodies are undergoing more and more changes. They've lost count of how long they've been here. When Nina says it's been 13 nights, no one wants to believe her, but the guestbook doesn't lie. No one has ever lasted more than 13 cycles, which means tonight is their last chance. Opening the blinds, Clover and Max see an old cemetery outside the window. That wasn't there before. Only now does everyone realize that Megan is missing. Abe suggests that Megan has already become part of the night. She was the first one taken after all. Maybe it's already over for her. It turns out that all the recordings on Abe's phone remained intact, despite the time resets. The videos capture the horrors they've endured, night after night, each time facing a more twisted nightmare. And Dr. Hill, he's the key to all of it. In one of the cycles, Megan managed to follow Dr. Hill. The house is now surrounded by the dead. There's nowhere left to run. No more chances. Clover decides to go into the tunnel. She has nothing left to lose. She brought them here, and she'll be the one to get them out. But the others won't let her go alone. They follow her. The group enters the tunnel beneath the front door and finds other buried houses. They sneak into one of them, where everything inside is in ruins. They freeze when they spot a monster ahead, but the creature senses them anyway and charges. The group runs chased by that monster, and more than one. They end up in the place where Megan died last. The masked man is already waiting. Max yells for Clover to go find Megan while they distract the maniac. But Clover is attacked by the monster Melanie. She tries to awaken a memory inside Melanie, but clearly no trace of Melanie's mind remains in the creature's body. Clover is forced to end the monster's life. She loves her sister, so the best thing she could do was set her free. Meanwhile the others manage to overpower the psychopath, for the first time in 13 cycles. Sunrise is getting closer. Clover finds Megan tied to a chair inside a glass chamber. She's trapped there with a chained monster that could break free at any moment. Clover has little time to find the key. Her search leads her to a control room where Dr. Hill watches his so-called patients. He's been waiting for her. Clover is one of the most fascinating patients he's ever had. Every threat they've faced is a manifestation of their hidden fears. This place feeds on fear itself. Meanwhile the others flee from the monsters as Megan screams inside her cell. Clover doesn't understand why Hill is doing this. He explains that he's always been drawn to people with trauma. While he's distracted, Clover notices water dripping from the ceiling and places Hill's cup beneath it. Death is closing in on all of them. Not suspecting anything, Hill takes a sip of his coffee, too late realizing Clover has outsmarted him. While Abe, Nina, and Max try to hold off the monsters, Clover frees Megan. But more creatures keep arriving as the sand in the hourglass runs out. In the end Abe, Nina and Max help Clover and Megan escape to the surface through one of the graves. The cycle is broken. Dawn arrives. It's finally over, and the group drives away together in Abe's car. But is the experiment truly over, or will there be more victims to come? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.